While attention is focused on what's being said, we look at what's being missed. This is the outside lens. Watch this exchange closely. What's happening here isn't actually about scams, at least not in the way it sounds. On the surface, this is a Senate hearing about protecting seniors from financial fraud. The language is emotional, the numbers are big, and the villain is clearly defined. But beneath that surface, something more interesting is happening, something most viewers completely miss. This hearing isn't trying to discover a problem, it's trying to lock in a conclusion. From the opening seconds, the frame is already set. Seniors are vulnerable, scams are devastating. And there is exactly one agency positioned as the solution. Everything that follows is designed to reinforce that idea, not test it. Listen carefully to how authority is established. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau isn't just described as effective, it's described as necessary. A financial cop on the beat, a protector. A last line of defense. Once that language is accepted, questioning the agency no longer sounds like oversight. It starts to sound like negligence, but here's the part most people overlook.
Senator Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank you and Ranking Member Gillibrand for holding this hearing. You know, falling victim to a scam is devastating for anyone, but it can be especially hard for seniors. When older Americans are taken advantage of, it's important for them to have someone to turn, someone who'll be on their side, someone who will help out. And that's where the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau comes in. The CFPB is a financial cop on the beat for American consumers. Since 2011, it has saved over $21 billion for hardworking families. $21 billion. And that's not all it's done. The CFPB has a dedicated office to protect older Americans from financial fraud. It also has a consumer complaint database where people who've been ripped off can report scams and get their money back. So, Mr. Bagdoyan, the Government Accountability Office, GAO, just conducted a review of federal scam prevention efforts. Can you explain how the CFPB protects Americans from scams, including seniors?
Sure. As you know from our report, we identified CFPB as one of the three entities that are best positioned to lead the government-wide strategy that we are advocating for. So CFPB has the resident expertise, it has the legislative charge and mission, if you will. It has the experience since the early 2010s, as you noted. So combined, those things are important. We made 5 recommendations to CFPB to further its ability to counter scams in coordination, as we mentioned, as part of the government-wide strategy to create the definition of scams, to gather better data, to analyze data, and find out what the real risks are. This is a very dynamic environment, but what it has been doing, I think it does all 11 categories of activities that we identified among the 13 agencies that were in our universe. So it is well positioned to react through regulatory actions, through education, advocacy, analytics. Again, it justifies them being well positioned.
Yeah.
The GAO witness quietly admits that 13 federal agencies are involved in scam prevention, and they largely operate independently. That's not just a coordination issue. That's a structural warning sign. When responsibility is spread that thin, failure never lands in one place. It dissolves. No agency ever fully fails because no agency is ever fully responsible. And instead of asking whether that system actually works, the conversation shifts to coordination. Not reform, not redesign, just coordination. Because coordination preserves the structure while avoiding the harder question. Is this model even capable of stopping modern scams? Notice something else. The CFPB is described as both a law enforcement body and a consumer assistance service. It's supposed to stop scams before they happen and help people recover after they don't. That creates a metric problem no one mentions. If scams increase, funding is justified. If complaints increase, success is claimed. Either outcome supports the same conclusion. So instead of answering directly, the response is pushed into the future. A study will be conducted, impacts will be evaluated later, data will come in the spring. That moment matters. Because while the evidence is postponed, the narrative moves forward immediately. The audience doesn't wait for the study. The conclusion is already emotionally settled. And here's the quietest, most revealing part of the entire exchange. No one asks who benefits from a fragmented system. No one asks whether consolidation would actually reduce scams. No one asks if the current structure is designed more for administration than prevention.
A lot of opportunities there in the way it's structured, both to catch the bad guys and to be able to respond, and to be able to help people who've been cheated and get their money back for them. And one of the points you make, though, is CFPB does not act alone, and that the three principal actors in this area are the CFPB, the FBI, and the FTC. I think I have that right.
That's correct.
Three of them working together. I think one of your recommendations was that they should coordinate even more in their efforts. Is that right? Would you like to just say a word more about that?
Yes, absolutely. That would be one of the key components of a government-wide strategy. What we found was, of course, the 13 agencies that were pretty much working independently, coordinating on an ad hoc basis, but not systematically. That sort of fragmentation really undermines the effectiveness of anything any of these agencies do.
Not enhancing effectiveness, not more efficient when they fragment.
That's right. That's right.
So based on what you've said here, you'd think that to protect seniors from scams, that President Trump should leverage the CFPB. Unfortunately, that is not what he is doing. Instead, he is systematically dismantling the agency, cutting funds, cutting staff, and preventing the agency from doing its job. So, Mr. Bagdoyan, let me just ask you, does cutting staff, cutting funds, issuing stop work orders at the CFPB make seniors more safe, about the same, or less safe?
Yeah, well, thank you for your question. I'm glad you asked it. It's very timely. As you may know, you submitted a request to us for follow-on work on what staffing and organizational restructurings at the agencies we identified, what kind of impact that would have on their ability to implement our recommendations, for example, and do a better job of protecting seniors and others against scams. Ranking Member Gillibrand is also a party to that request. And also Senator Hassan, I believe, has joined recently. What we did actually this morning, we staffed the review. So we will be starting that in about several weeks. And by spring, we should have a decent idea what our strategy to pursue that will entail. And CFPB is one of the agencies we will be looking at. It's what's really going on and what impacts any of these restructurings, including staff reductions, diversions, and other things. So thank you for your timely question.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the work you're doing. I want to say a very special thank you to Senator Gillibrand and to Senator Hassan for joining in this effort. You know, if President Trump really cared about seniors, he would stop these illegal efforts to shut down the CFPB.
The debate stays safely inside institutional boundaries. So while the hearing appears to be about protecting seniors, what it's really doing is protecting a model of governance, one where responsibility is shared just enough that accountability is never fully assigned. That's the part you're not supposed to notice, and once you see it, you start hearing hearings like this very differently.